Hi and welcome to On the B-Side with BTS, a special tribute where we share real stories from ARMY across Australia. As we count down to BTS reuniting after their military service, this project celebrates the deep connections, life moments and inspiration this group continues to bring. I'm your host Birgit. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey everybody, welcome back to another ARMY story with twists today. I don't think it's going to be the traditional ARMY story, but something that is also, I think, an angle or a side of BTS that many are impressed about, probably take inspiration from, and can maybe even relate to certain aspect or a lot, put it that way. I can't find my words tonight. Apologies. But before we dive into that, I'm going to talk about that. Oh my God, tongue twisters tonight. It's terrible. Anyway, we're going to talk about this with the lovely Leonie tonight. Hello. How's it going?
Hello. Well, thanks.
Very, very good. Now, I know this was something that you wanted to talk about their path, their journey, which included obviously now a lot of achievements, but at the beginning a lot of struggles and pain and whatever else, and then kind of what sort of came through that. So my question is why that? Why is that so why is you drawn to that?
I mean, I think I found them like everybody else through the music and everything else. But what what I came across fairly early on was the stories of how young they were when they were initially selected to be trainees and how hard they had to actually work before they even got to do their first little mini concert to 100 people. How hard they had to work living away from home while they were still studying in secondary school, a lot of them, how much they had to help each other as well. Um, they all had some skills at that stage, but from my understanding, a lot of the initial dancing came from Jimin's skills and J-Hope's skills. A lot of the initial songwriting came from Sugar and RM. So it wasn't as though they were already perfect at dancing, singing, songwriting. These were skills that they worked hard to develop. And it was that hard work at such a young age that impressed me. And I think because I work teaching people second language English, and it's hard work. It's hard work. And that's what impressed me, that they had a goal. They had a goal and they didn't quit and they worked really hard to achieve it. And it really impressed me how hard they had to work.
And I guess if we both think back when we were in that age bracket of when they first came
Right.
together, I mean, I put my hand up and say I had no drive at all. I just wanted to live life, right? I just wanted to get school done and go out with my friends and hang out and just live life. But then seeing them in at the ages that they were, so driven, already so
So driven.
mature in a way, wasn't
Mm.
it? I mean,
That's
RM.
that's the thing, that it took such a lot of work, and they didn't do one album and then say, right, this is hard work. Really, actually, we just want to go and get some girlfriends and live life, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we've got our little bit of fame. We're good. They stuck at it.
Mm,
That perseverance.
mm,
One goal done. Let's get to the next goal. Let's set another goal.
mm. Begs the question, why do you think they were able to do that? Do you think that could be their upbringing, their background, or did they have a good support network at that time who saw the potential and nurtured that? what do you think sort of helped them
I
on
don't
the
know.
way?
I don't see that it's necessarily in their family's background. I don't necessarily, it absolutely wasn't that they had parents driving them forward, because quite a few of them have said their parents just outright
Mm.
were not particularly impressed at their choices. So it's not as though they had really pushy, stage mums and dads behind them.
Oh God, yeah.
Um, and I don't even think at the beginning it was because they all had that dream of being superstars, because, I think some of them came about it almost by luck a little bit, They didn't
Mm.
really plan to audition, they just got there.
Mm-hmm.
It does beg the question how we got seven that was so dedicated. But I think the thing was, we have to remember that they were seven in a much larger group. So
Mm.
when you think if that much larger group was, say, 50, all right, so there were many others that didn't persevere, or maybe didn't have that gift or skill, or whatever else.
Mm.
But these seven made it to the end. And I think maybe that support from each other, I think, was really important. That
Yeah.
encouragement when
Mm-hmm.
times got tough, because that's it. We see the conditions they were living in. They were not living like rock stars at age 15 by any means. So it would have taken hard work to have
Yeah.
continued to live in those dormitory conditions. The food
Yeah.
was not good. They certainly didn't have a lot of money. They weren't running around like rich teenagers by any means.
No.
And yet they stuck at it.
Mm. Yeah, when you sort of see footage from the earliest beginnings, when they cooked in
Mm.
this tiny little room and they'll eat, and
Yeah,
it's I that for me is just, it kind of blows my mind almost how at that age they had this mindset and this drive to keep
mm,
going and support each other and talk it out if they had an issue. By the sounds of it, they did that a lot to because there must have been everything that happens in puberty as well. I mean,
that's,
that on top of everything else.
that's right. They were
Wow.
discovering life, but they
Yeah.
definitely, some of them must have had it and developed it in the others, but they definitely had that winner's mindset that
Hmm.
says, it doesn't really matter what now is like, because I will get to the finish line. There's
Yeah.
nothing else that matters.
It's just came to my mind. I don't know where I've read it or seen it, but didn't Sugar say that initially he only signed up because he wanted to be a songwriter and producer? He
That's
never
right.
considered being in a boy band, like in a boy band.
That's
And then
that's
he did. And I mean, he's I'm just thinking about this is what he wanted to do. Now he's doing the dancing, the singing, all the posing, everything.
right.
And you go, how do you go from this to this? This is this incredible transition. It's just,
That's it. There were some that were good at songwriting, some that were good at dancing, some that were slightly better at singing. And that's it. They all had to teach each other all of those skills.
Mhm.
Like I think from memory, Yin had always thought about doing acting only.
Mm. Yeah.
And so, and the idea was, okay, let's do this for a little tiny while, and that will shoot me into, a little bit of fame, a little bit of work somewhere else. But
Mm.
that's it.
Mm.
They certainly didn't have all of those skills to start with. They had to learn them, and they definitely didn't have loads and loads of money for
Hmm.
private dancing lessons and private this and private that. And they largely taught themselves and each other.
Now,
I,
if I
I
would,
find it very admirable and very inspiring, actually, that perseverance.
yeah, that is to me, that is, as I said, it's mind blowing.
Mm, mm,
But I think having said that, mind blowing is, like you said, it's inspiring as well. So, do you feel that now that you know the backstory of BTS and you're obviously helping other people learn a
Mm,
language,
mm.
do you feel like you take a little bit of what they went through and try to instill that in your students in a way? Is that something that crossed your mind that you might do that?
I th- I think I think it's something that I always do try and do. People have a goal, and it is my aim to try and help them achieve that. But what this group does is they serve as an example that we can have access to because they documented their journey from very early on. We've got access to that journey,
Mm-hmm.
and that is valuable. Their sharing of all those personal struggles when they were less than perfect
Mm-hmm.
is very inspirational for anyone to go back and look at.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think there's that message that no one's born with everything they need to reach their goals. It takes dedication and hard work, and they're just such a stunning example of that.
Mm. Yeah, I can really tell that's what you're really, really drawn to.
Mm.
Um, and is there anything that you do, maybe right now or intend to do that you might consider doing now that you know BTS and before you sort of, oh no, I can't do that or I don't even want to try, like anything like that? That they sort of inspired you to go something after something that you always wanted to do, but you sort of put it on the shelf.
Um, I think I always had sort of goals for how I thought my work would develop. And this just goes with it. Perhaps on those tough days as you're working through, you're starting a new sort of chapter in your
Mm.
in my work even, looking at new programs or something for the next year, and you think, well, will nothing fall into place? Will nothing go right? Yeah, sure. I look back and I think hard work,
Mm.
hard work got there in the end.
Mm.
Mm,
I also think that with BTS, yes, they've worked their butts off,
mm,
but they also did it really smart.
mm,
And I think I feel that's a really distinction we have to make as well, is you can work your butt off and still not get anywhere unless you do it smart, hard work, I think. And
mm,
that's what they definitely did. I mean, just having that idea to document everything. They probably
mm,
didn't see how impactful that would be, but somehow they knew it was a smart move to do.
mm.
So, yeah, I don't know if you
I,
agree
I,
with that or
I
not.
think I think that's important because documenting everything enabled more people to connect with them.
Hmm.
And that is also part of success story. As you say, people can work really hard, and we can't, we're not all superstars. So what two things are added to it? One is as they worked, they drew more people to them that could help them. So
Mm.
a little bit of success was invested back in themselves again. The
Hmm.
other thing is the mindset. With a little bit of achievement, they believed they could achieve more. They believed they could achieve more. And this, I think, is quite evident in some of their little eras that came about, some of their albums that focus on believing in yourself, loving yourself, accepting yourself. That is something that I think they genuinely could sing about because they genuinely experienced it. But time from being, you know, little teenagers to actually got a bit of pride in myself now,
Hmm.
I'm not perfect, but by far, I don't think any of them think that they're perfect,
Mm.
but they accept who they are and they feel genuinely comfortable with that. And that is a good place to be.
Yes, and I think a lot of us want to be want to be there too.
I
And
want to be there too.
you
That's
know,
the thing. There's a lot of this kind of stuff about them that I think, well done, guys, for being in the world because
mm,
there's a lot that inspires other people.
Mm. And I find it interesting now with chapter two coming up after the military and everything. Everyone's obviously curious what they're gonna do, but I'm just excited to see them together and see that creativity and that hopefully newfound drive. I'm so excited
Mm.
about it. I don't know how it's gonna pan out, but I know it's gonna be exactly what they need to do.
Mm.
So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting how they're gonna use, the drive they have now compared to like 10, 13 years ago. So
I
yeah,
think
it
it's a
will be
different
interesting.
sort of maturity, actually. To be
Yes.
honest, I think them doing their military service, they actually managed to attract a lot of brand new followers while they were gone in this solo era.
Hmm.
Because I kind of feel personally a lot of older people would not have been aware of them as a boy band or a teenager group. But once those solo albums came out, they were essentially just like any other adult music. And a lot of older people became aware of them through the solo albums and
Yeah.
tracked backwards to say, actually, they were always pretty good. you know. But I think that's the thing that, and they've through their solo work, they've also uniquely tapped into very different groups of people that like more rap, people that like more of the vocals, people that like more of the pop.
Hmm.
That has also brought attention back to the group as a whole.
Mm.
So I hope as a group we still see that individuality almost a little
Mm.
more. They always had their different parts in different songs, but almost maybe to see them uniquely in their own songs, but as a group concert. I
Yeah.
don't know. Look, I'm not in charge of concerts, but
Well, none of us fans are. That's down to them and whoever they
no,
work with. So,
I'm sure
um,
whatever they do will be good. But say, to tell you how I first even became aware of them
yeah, please.
was
Please share. That's always interesting.
somewhat unbelievably in Australia watching the opening ceremony live of the World Cup soccer football. I'm
Mm.
not sure enough, 4 in the morning or something like that. And I saw JK with the song and I thought, pretty good song. The opening ceremonies, but I thought, actually, pretty good song here. I don't know who you are, but then it was maybe 4 or 5 months later, I was looking through Facebook and by luck, I saw one reel come up and I thought, dude from the soccer. Actually, there are more of them. That he's got clones.
It's got clones.
and, you know, and watching this, they're a kind of a group, and very quickly I thought, one, okay, wow, Jim, an amazing dancer. I
Hmm.
guess I guess again, a lot of older women have done dancing when they were younger. So one, I recognized, wow, that's good dancing. But the second thing was even more wow that they're all so coordinated because again, I thought, I know that has taken hours and hours and hours and hours to get that so good. And I thought that's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
So
So, and that's when you
yeah,
entered the rabbit
and
hole.
from absolutely, as the world of the internet works, you watch one reel and oh, suddenly there's another 50.
Yep.
But it did very quickly intrigue me, and of course the reels were coming up about how they were when they were younger and things like that.
Hmm.
And I managed to get a copy of their book, and that actually set things out a lot clearer because I used to think, how did you manage to go to school and still be doing all this practicing and stuff? And that's when I really realized,
Mm.
how focused life must have been.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a few odd escapes here and there, a few lapses in the diets and things, but when you think about it, they
Mm.
were still finishing school, they were still training, they were practicing. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah. That book was very eye-opening. And definitely worth another read or two. Because you'll always find something else that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't realize, or so
even to realize, to put things in perspective, that they were all still fairly young, teenagers. Those first concerts were like magic to them as well. You know, it was
mm,
like, is this really happening to me? Is this
hmm
going to continue or is this going to crash? When they shared those kind of feelings, you think, wow, that that is what people can relate to when they're pushing for their goals.
yeah, yeah. And it's good to have I don't like to I wouldn't say role models, but I always find that there's always something for everyone that they can
Mm,
take out of BTS.
mm,
Maybe because there's seven members, so they already have like seven individuals who
mm.
have different
Yeah.
strengths and desires and goals and whatever else there is in a human being.
Mm.
But I love the fact that they also show they're not perfect. They have their
That's it.
downsides or whatever, which it always appears to me that they're sort of apologizing for that. And I'm like, why?
Mm. That's it. There
Why?
is
It
no
makes
need
you
to be
you.
perfect. You're good enough. That's it. You're
Exactly.
just good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Mm,
exactly that piece, I think, is the one I take out a lot is,
mm,
you are you,
mm,
edges and positives and negatives or whatever. Why should you as BTS or us as humans have to
mm,
constantly apologize for that?
mm,
It's yeah. So that's why I always find very, very interesting and a good
mm.
reminder too that you can still accept yourself and love yourself even with all the scratches and bruises and edges and whatever else there is.
That's
Yeah.
that's it. And even that your goals in life don't have to lead to world fame, or it's whatever personally matters to you
Mm,
that that makes you unique.
yeah.
Because I think they've always emphasized that they are all seven individuals. They've
Mm,
all got different tastes in music. They've all got different hobbies. They like playing different instruments. There was no one right way. They all did what they all were meant to do. So,
yeah. And we got the world gave us BTS. And as you said, and I put my hand up. I'm what they call baby army. I've only found them when Jin was already in the military. So
mm,
it's I think a lot of people sort of experienced or found them around that time frame, which is
mm,
I'm sort of wondering sometimes, how will they see that when there's so many new faces, new armies that are really not been there for the whole journey, they're just here now.
mm.
I sometimes love to sort of go into their brains and go, what do you think of that? What do you make out of that? How do you that must be an achievement in itself that you've gone in a way and you're still attracting that. You're still doing
Attracting so
that.
many new
Yeah.
people. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm,
That's and a lot of I found a lot of older humans
mm,
as well. I mean, just
mm,
seeing now with J-Hope on tour, sometimes you see videos and photos of like literally people in their 40, 50, 60, 70s,
mm,
80s attending a
mm.
concert. I mean, that must make them so proud that they can do that.
I think that's it. They've gone from largely looking like teenagers to just simply being any other adult. And that means anyone of any age, that's fine to appreciate the music.
Hmm
You see, it's maybe that different type of attraction from, perhaps that younger, while they're also gorgeous, to well, actually, I really like this kind of music.
Yeah.
And I think that would actually make them proud as well.
Hmm.
That it's the music, the performances that people
Hmm.
are really truly
Yeah.
valuing. Mm.
Now, I'm going to ask you a bit of a generic question here, and it hasn't much to do with the main topic we were talking about, but I'm curious, so just humor me and bear with me.
Go, go for it.
Um, do you actually think of attending, or have you been to any army events, or, in real life or online or anything? Is that something you consider, or is that something not on your agenda? Like, how do you feel
I
about
think
that?
it's definitely something that I would like to do. I don't actually live particularly close to where a lot of the ones are held. I
Hmm.
think if they were closer, I probably would. But I've certainly enjoyed connecting with people online as
Hmm.
well. And maybe in a country like Australia that's so big, that is maybe a more valid option,
Hmm.
than some of these countries that are smaller but with bigger populations. So it's easier to have in-person kind of things.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's really nice to connect with people. And this is one thing I like about this group, that it has encouraged people to come together and feel that they belong for no other reason than you like the same music.
Hmm.
That's 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 it. That's all that matters. And when you can walk into any of these groups, any of these discussions,
Hmm.
and feel welcome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think in a world like this, that we need these kind of communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I always say, like, if we could, as a whole army in Australia or worldwide, I mean, in the past where I think I wasn't there, not yet, but some incredible stuff has been done by army, and hats off to those people who continuously organize these events,
Mm,
who continuously organize
mm,
all these good things, in the name
mm,
of BTS, in the name of army. I
mm,
mean, hats off to them for doing that, because it does take a lot of energy and commitment. So thank you
mm,
to those people first off. And yes, I
mm,
agree with you. Yes, I think there should probably be a little bit more online for those who might not be able to attend the events. So
mm.
maybe that will
But
happen.
I think again, you asked before about, do you think they would feel proud of different things?
Mhm.
I think they would look at these kind of events and feel proud that people have taken the time to organize things like this, to reach out to others, to provide a space where people can feel welcome, sort of in their name. I think they would be proud of those kind of things too. No, I would be proud. That's the thing. You think, would you be proud if someone did that and said, "All right"? Yeah,
I
I think it's showing a really nice sort of nature personality.
Yes, yes, nicely said. I like that. That's a really great point. Yeah, I
Because
know.
some groups can be really sort of clicky, and if you're not absolutely in the right outfits, doing the right thing, making the right movement, singing the right, you're out of it. But I
Yeah.
think Army has largely opened their arms and said, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are,
Mm,
you like this music, you're one of us.
yes. Yeah. That's a really nice way of putting it. And I think we both have had that experience,
Mm,
being fairly new to the fandom as well, which is amazing, the help you get from like older army, when they talk about something and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, it's this. It's like that support in itself, the welcome with open arms is, like I haven't really experienced in my life. And I've been a fan of different groups and stuff over the
mm.
years, like you probably have yourself. So, you know.
So we've all been part of different groups, and some of them can be very exclusive of newcomers.
Hmm. Yeah,
But I have
sadly.
not encountered that anywhere. I've not seen or heard of that
Mm,
anywhere. So
yeah.
mm,
And the other thing that is really beautiful is the generosity. Not
Mm,
just the time, but also just seeing like, everyone's doing these little freebies when you go to events or concerts, and
mm,
people like, they share merch sometimes saying, I've got too much, if does anyone want it?
mm,
And I'm just sitting here going, I didn't even know people like that truly existed who are so like caring and supportive. It's just
mm.
amazing. And as you said, they must be sitting there going, wow, that's amazing.
If just simply being BTS gives people permission to be kind to others, then I think their work is done.
Yes. That's the quote of the episode, I think.
Oh,
We'll use that.
mm. Well, I mean, really, if it gives people an excuse to reach out to others, to be friendly, to be kind in any small way,
Yeah,
I think that's a great thing. So,
absolutely.
mm,
Which leads me nicely into my final question for you.
okay.
I love that conversation. I think it's an important one as well, just to highlight that again, what we've talked about. But if for any reason you had a chance to be in the same room with BTS and you were able to tell them one thing that is always on your mind and you always wanted to tell them, what would that be?
I think thanks for just being who you are. Thanks for doing what you do, because it's just amazing to see how many million people around the world have been touched by it. Thanks for just doing what you do.
Yeah. It's a good one though. Yeah, I like it.
I mean, look,
If you you have to condense it because, otherwise yeah, it's hard to put into words, I guess. But yeah, I agree.
for me, I think that's it. I have no burning questions, to know what they have for breakfast or this or that or anything else. I
Yeah.
think that's it. If I had a chance to say something, I would say
Yeah.
thanks. Thanks for sharing this part of your lives with us so we can all benefit as well.
Mm, yes.
I for sure thought you were going to ask me what my favorite song was or something like that, but that was a good question.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, most of us know that meeting them and having a conversation one on one is probably not something that ever will happen. But it's nice to just think about it sometimes and ponder because for me, yeah, it brings up a lot of things that they kind of helped me with and supported me with. So I do think sometimes if I had a chance, what would I say? Um, if I wouldn't be nervous and the huge I know what I'm like. But yeah,
Thanks.
so
I think that's it. Just yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for sharing your life
Mm-hmm.
with
It
so
does.
many people, because no doubt it cannot have been easy at times for them.
Yeah. Wow. I don't
Mm.
think we will ever truly understand their life and what it's like and how it is like. So,
And I'm sure it's not all, you know, as they would wish. It's not all perfect. They can't travel. They can't walk down the street. They can't do a
mm,
lot of things that a lot of us do and take
mm,
for granted.
true. True. Yeah.
And it's like that has been the consequence of achieving their goals.
Mm,
in
yeah.
in a sad way. You kind of wish that all of the little things that we enjoy in life, you would wish that they also could have those things.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. But I guess they're also, that was their dream, that was their goal. So in a way, they must have learned early on that there is a cost to that, and that
it's a
is
cost.
you're not having the life of an ordinary person on the street. So,
Mm.
you know,
Is it? There's always a cost of fame. So
hmm, yeah. But we're here to support them, whatever they want to do. you know,
Hmm.
I'm just hope they are happy, healthy, and doing what they're doing. If that means continuing BTS, do so. If they one day have enough, then that's fine too, you know. But
Hmm.
for now, we still have them, so let's enjoy it.
To be honest, I think they've worked that hard and produced so many songs and things that one day when they surely take a break, when they really retire, at age 70 or something,
Oh my gosh, yeah, all right.
they'll have left that much behind for people. They have really left a legacy already.
Yeah, think about that.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of magical to now be part of them continuing to build on that legacy that they've already done. So
It's,
let's see
it's
what happens.
an incredible phenomenon, really. You think, what is it that attracts people all around the world in absolute millions and millions and millions to a group of singers singing in a language that the vast majority of us don't understand? What is it that caused that to
Hmm.
happen? What is it that made these seven so
Hmm.
special? Not just for 1 year, not
Hmm.
just for one album. What is it that
Hmm.
attracted so many people to this one group and enabled so much other goodness to spread from it? It's
Hmm.
it's an incredible world event, really.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people out there who study like the can I talk? Psychology, that was the word I'm looking for. And then the whole thing behind it. But for us, I don't have that knowledge, so who knows, someone might enlighten me one day.
Actually, I do have that knowledge.
All right, please share. Go ahead, please share.
Yeah, but that is also my background. That's why I say it. It is an amazing thing that this small group from one small part of the world singing in a language that is not a very
Hmm.
common language has managed to unite
Hmm.
so many people.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
it's like, yeah, sure, there are many famous singers, there are many good singers, many famous actors, but somehow there are those that are just a bit more like special than others,
Hmm. Yeah.
particularly to attract them from languages that is not known language. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's actually more than incredible because
Mm,
everything is so focused on the English language,
that's it. I can understand why there are
you
famous
know.
English singers because it's a language, even if it's a second language, it's still a known language in a lot of countries.
Hmm.
There are not many countries where children have, had 1 or 2 years of Korean in primary school.
Yeah.
It's a zero understanding when you first meet this group,
Yeah.
and yet you go on to build that relationship with them.
Hmm. And we'll
You,
continue
you,
to build on it.
that's
We'll
it.
continue on for as long as we
That's
can.
that's it. That's
That's
it.
it. Now, before we close off, is there anything else you wanted to share that we might have not touched on or anything that comes to mind? Any sort
Um,
of final words? Anything?
No, not really, not
Yep.
really. I think. Oh, okay, here's one small thing. One small
Okay.
thing. I am also sort of blown away when I hear stories of how they are being used as examples in textbooks and how they are being used as examples in, say, university degrees for business and commerce, with people saying, if you don't know who these people are, you're not engaged enough in what's going on in the world. I have seen this many times and thinking, oh, wow, okay. Because when you think what this group has done to their country's economy, it's mind blowing. Because not only their own performance, but the fact that they've now lifted the whole industry up worldwide is a real economic kind of miracle.
Yeah. There's,
What-
I mean, there
Which
is
is a
so,
totally different aspect to discussing them again, but that's it. In terms of economics, this is an amazing occurrence.
yes. And they still do. I mean, you sometimes read the odd headline and stuff that they've now done this in business, and
Mm,
they're branching out in their own
mm.
entrepreneurships now with like gin and his alcohol and his I don't know what kind of alcohol
Absolutely, and
business he's got.
it will just keep going.
It's amazing, and then also their input in Hybe itself. They're big
Mm,
shareholders in the company, and
mm.
I mean, and I've read somewhere, and I hope I got this right, but they've all done like business studies and all this kind of
They've got
background
at least a
studies.
bachelor's, and most of them have got a master's. Yeah, so
So, I mean, on top of what they already do, doing all this, gaining all that knowledge, it kind of, it makes, I don't know, we're both business owners, you and I, so we
mm,
know a little bit the challenges when you sort of are in
mm,
that area industry. Some days you just want to chuck in the towel and go, I've had this. But then them doing it, they're doing
mm,
their front stuff, like being the band, selling
mm.
albums, going on tour. Then they're studying. Then they're having their other business ventures. It's just, I'm sitting there going, have they got twins? How the hell do they do that?
Those
Incredible.
clones again.
Those clones, yes. So yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks for that. Yeah, definitely needed to be made.
Well, that's it. That's it.
That's it. Excellent. But I think a lot of times when we talk amongst army, we do talk about how did you find them and who's your bias and this and that. And I know we do touch on what we've discussed today.
Mm,
Yet I feel what you've highlighted today is something we probably should highlight more because it's
mm,
not just about BTS as a group, as
mm,
creative people, but also the geniuses behind BTS, what
mm.
they've actually achieved away from BTS, meaning
That's
the
it.
impact and everything. So
Mm.
yes, I think it definitely was a great idea you've had, and I'm glad you shared it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me to your project here. I hope lots more people share their stories.
I hope so too, and you never know what happens after this project has been released. We never know where it's gonna go. But yeah.
Hopefully, it brings them to us.
Well, I keep saying that I'm realistic enough to know that maybe what I do
Mm,
won't even reach them because there's so much going on around the world, projects for BTS. But what
mm.
I'm hoping to achieve is just be a drop in the ocean and create a bit of a ripple effect of, positivity and inspiring others to
I've
learn.
heard that message before somewhere.
Yeah, so it's just being part of something positive and just sharing the good energy into the world. That's kind of, and yes, if it helps them coming here, great.
That's all they would ask of you. That's all they would ask of
You
you,
know,
that you enjoy their music and you spread a little
exactly.
bit of happiness and love in the world. That's it.
And that's what I'm trying to do because I love doing things like that. So why not?
Well done.
All right, all right. Well, we're gonna end it here. Again, great topic, and I'm glad we talked about it. So thanks again, Leonie. But yeah, we're gonna end it here. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. If you want to join in, there's different ways you can do it here in Australia. There's obviously the big Facebook group. I'm gonna put all that in the description so you can find where you can meet other army if you haven't yet, but you probably have already. All right. Thanks for being here today. And yeah, I hope you all take good care. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.